This episode is brought to you by Podbean, the easiest, most affordable option to get started in podcasting. Stay tuned to hear how you can get your first month of Podbean for free. Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Committed Critics, a pop culture podcast where we're not only committed to our opinions, but also each other.
Aww.
I'm Kevin Lau.
I'm Ryan Davis.
And I'm Zachary Wright. And guys, we did it. It's just
We
us
did it?
again. It's just us again. You know?
Oh no.
It's just
So
the three of
alone.
us.
We
So
kicked
cold.
out all the other people.
It's how it started, you know? This is how it all started.
Yeah, after like a nice stretch of guests back to back, we decided to just do it on our own, sort of last minute. Jordan couldn't be here for this review of
Yes.
Invincible Season 1. The most gruesome superhero show right now, at least from my opinion. I haven't seen The Boys yet. How is it compared to The Boys?
The Boys is way worse.
Oh, really?
It depends.
For me, it's like seeing an actual person get their face charred in before instead of like an animated person. Like I can kind of like disconnect because it's an animated person. Whereas
I don't know. That train scene, though.
yeah,
I mean, look, the boys ain't gonna do something like that.
right. The Boys don't do something like that, but it's more graphic. Like seeing actual like person explode into a like pile of guts is kind of gross. But
Mhm.
like I can just kind of disconnect it in my head more when it's an animated character. But I digress.
That's
Anyway.
fair. Yeah. But
Anime's
so
already
if-
disillusioned me, so
If you couldn't tell by our little chat right there, Invincible is not a show for children.
I mean, it is depending on how old your children are.
True. I mean, I
Fair.
let my 13-year-old sister watch it, so
Yeah, it's fine.
there you go. She's fine. It's just violence and some sexual references. It's not actually that bad. So our this is our review for Invincible Season 1. We had 8 episodes, each of them about 45 minutes long. It's available to watch on Amazon Prime, based on the comic book by Robert Kirkman,
Mhm.
who's created The Walking Dead. Robert Kirkman is also heavily involved with the show. He wrote the pilot and the season finale, and he has the showrunner is also worked on Teen Titans way back in the day.
Nice.
So quick spoiler-free thoughts around the room of Invincible Season 1 and how much you would rate it. Ryan, you want to go first?
sure. I'm happy with what I have. Like, after reading the comic and then watching the first season, I still say the comic is definitely the better medium, but honestly, the show did do a pretty solid job of adapting it, even if some parts of it wasn't how I would have liked.
Mhm.
It could definitely use a bit of an overhaul, story-wise, I guess, like in terms of pacing and everything, but I'll get into that more later. But overall, I give it an 8 out of 10 right now.
Cool. Yeah. For me, I like the show. I wrote my notes. Good show. I felt things, but it needs more money. 9 out of 10.
It needs a
wish-
little more money.
I wish the animation was smoother, but like I understand, like the studio system doesn't really like adult animation. They think it's like financial suicide essentially.
Yeah.
But clearly, this is not the case.
See, I didn't even notice that. I didn't even notice the animation was choppy.
Oh, there's some of it's really choppy, but then there's like some scenes where like Mark is flying around and it looks like a little JPEG. They kind of squiggle it around with a mouse.
Yeah, it's a little rough, and like when
No.
he's flying through the city a couple times.
The only time it looked choppy was whenever like Eve was doing something complex or something. That's the only time it looked choppy.
Those are the parts where I felt like was pretty clean.
Really?
Whenever time they actually showed off the powers in the action. But anyways, it's been renewed for 2 more seasons, so hopefully it gets more money in the future seasons to have a smoother animation.
Yeah.
I also really love the sound design as well.
Sound design's awesome, indeed, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna read off Jordan's notes because she wrote some notes in the document, so I just wanted to say her thoughts. Jordan gave it a 3.5 out of 5 or a 7 out of 10. She said there's some pacing issues that made her lose interest at some points, and that she didn't really care about the characters as much as she should have. But we enjoyed watching it together. It was a nice going off Falcon Winter Soldier. We'd watch Falcon Winter Soldier with Ryan, and we'd watch Invincible, and it was always a good Friday night thing to do. Like, hey, water cooler talk. It was always fun. As for me, my thoughts, right now I said it will be a great show. The potential is there. As it stands now, it could be a little bit better paced. I can't say much about my gripes without diving too much into spoiler territory. But I did manage to read volumes 1 through 3 of Invincible of the comic before this episode of the podcast. So I do know some things about like kind of like season 1 and the comic. I give it a 7 out of 10. So kind of what Jordan said, 3.5 out of 5.
I'm really interested in what makes everyone think the pacing is off, because I didn't feel anything wrong with the pacing at all.
After rereading the comic, I definitely am like, the pacing is not the best.
Well, let's get into it.
Yeah, spoiler. This is a spoiler warning. So now we are talking spoilers about the show. So if you haven't seen season 1, highly recommend doing so. If you're able to handle the blood and guts and all that. It gets very dark in the season finale too. I had a friend talk to me about it, like if he was watching it one of his off days, it probably would not have been like he probably would not have enjoyed it very much. But yeah, so as we dive in further, we're going to also talk about the comics just a little bit, just for what Zach has read from volumes 1, 2, and 3. So spoiler filled. What is one thing you liked about the show? Zach, you want to kick us off?
The one thing I like about the show, based off after reading volumes 1 through 3 of the finale, the season 1 is actually very super faithful to the adaptation of the source material. The core I was editing on my phone, so I messed up something in the document, so I apologize. The emotional core itself is there, like it is. There could be some fine tuning bits, but I was really impressed with like when I was reading the comic after watching it, like season 1, the finale. I was like, wow, this kind of plays out like, besides a certain like the Guardians of the Globe thing, it plays out very much like beat for beat how it happens in the comic. Besides like the additive stuff from like Rudy and robot stuff and some of the
stuff from later in the series, they brought it a bit sooner.
They brought it a bit sooner to world build, which is kind of neat, but also I think you could have spent somewhere else and it might have had a little bit more of a payoff later. Steven Yeun though, awesome, fantastic. His performance in the finale was amazing. I loved it. He just felt,
all you gotta say is the train scene.
The train scene. I mean, here's the thing. It wasn't the train scene for me. It was when his dad is on top of him beating the ever living crap out of him. And it's like, what will you have after 500 years? And he's like, I still have you, Dad. Like, that's what got me. I was like, oh yeah. Real quick, I'm going to read Jordan. Jordan liked that it was an animated adult superhero show. It was something different, and that's what she enjoyed. It was really like specific and different from what we're used to seeing on TV or film. So that's what she liked about it. But
yeah, for sure. How about you, Ryan?
I kind of echo what Zach and Jordan said, but my main point is also that they flesh out characters and stories from the comic that weren't as big. My favorite is how they turned Titan, who introduced in this show earlier than he is in the comic. Yeah. The comic, he's just kind of like there from one time and he doesn't show up till much later. Yeah. But he's turned from a jaded street criminal who kind of like, it's just like, I'm a villain because it's a little bit easier life because I still get paid even though, all I have to worry about is getting caught by a hero or whatever. But they changed it from that into a family man who wants to give the best life for his family, even if he has to be a villain to do it. And I enjoy that twist on Titan's character. It made him a much more lovable character, especially the ending when he does eventually take power for himself because he did it for his family. Oh, man. And then other characters like Damian Darkblood, because in the comic, he's just kind of a parody of Hellboy in Question who sucks at his job. Yeah. But in the show, he's actually solving this case. And so I enjoyed it very much. Also, voice acting and soundtrack, very well done. And I am a sucker for good animated gore.
I mean, I love Cottonmouth from Luke Cage. Mahershala Ali. Oh my God, great performance as always.
Yes. Oh, totally. Like his voice work, amazing. Yeah. Like, and what's really cool about this show too is that like these are all actors that have done like face acting. So usually that doesn't translate well to voice acting, but like everyone like really did really well. Really surprised with Sandra Oh.
Sandra Oh, fantastic. Like Debbie, like that's the one difference I do like about the show. Like Debbie's a character. That's the difference. That's what's awesome. Like I was reading the comic, like wow, Debbie kind of sucks like in the comic because they don't really write her anything to do, and they really fixed that and made her a lot stronger in like this aspect, which is really really well done.
She does get strong in the comic, but yeah, she definitely starts off very much as just the mom. Hey, here's dinner. Have fun.
Right.
Yeah, for sure.
Kevin, what'd you like?
Yeah, one thing I really liked about the show, like bouncing off what you said, Zach, the emotional core of the show, as Mark struggles learning to balance power and responsibility. You know, it's a superhero show that's specifically about using powers to save people instead of only fighting a villain, which is what we've been seeing a lot lately.
Mhm.
It's a bit like Sam Raimi's Spider-Man films, especially in the finale as well.
Yeah.
Where it's like it is, you know, we see people in danger, and like, you know, the show doesn't shy away from the fact that like how, you know, squishy humans are
Right.
compared to regular superheroes. Some of it does, because of the choppy animation, doesn't quite play as well, as impactful as I'm sure the directors are hoping for. But there's moments of like that are super impactful, that do come off as super impactful. And you know, it is about, like I said, it's about a superhero using powers to save people. Like we see a lot of Mark and other heroes helping other people that we've, you know, instead of like, oh, the city's been cleared out, like so we can have all these instructions. Like, no, they're like, this is no, like there's people here. They are in danger. Mark needs to save them. And sometimes he can't. And that shows the gravity of the situation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and also I want to point out that you did the emotional core thing first. I built off it in the document, so it's not my thing.
Right.
It was actually your thing.
It's whatever.
Want to give you credit where credit's due.
Tomatoes.
No, yeah, I agree with you. I do like the idea. I wish it was more driven home. I guess like it's there. Don't get me wrong. I just wish it was more present. Like remember we were talking about the Justice League, where it was like the one thing we missed about like the Whedon cut, where it's like just save one person, like that kind of line.
Right.
I wish like that was a little more like heavy-fisted, like ham-fisted for the audience, just because like until you said it right there, Kevin, I kind of forgot that Mark actually did save a lot of people. Sure, he got his ass kicked by a bunch of villains, but he did have some like wins when he would save people themselves.
Right. No, I mean, they kind of said it in like episode 5 when Debbie was saying, you know, like, you know, people are going to tell you how to use your powers. It's up to you. Or maybe it's episode 4, but people are going to tell you how to use your powers. It's up to you to figure out what kind of hero you want to be. Oh yeah, and then with episode 5, she's like, helping, like you're never above helping someone else.
Right.
Like, you know that like whenever someone is asking for help, you should help them to your best of your ability.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and he gets his butt kicked for helping that one person, but like, you know, it's still, you know, he at least tried to help someone.
He gets his butt kicked a lot though.
Yeah.
A lot.
Yeah. I mean, but his spirit though, his spirit is not broken.
His spirit is invincible, that's for sure. But his body, definitely invincible. Definitely Vincible, not invincible.
His name, a little optimistic. He's definitely got to work towards that name.
Yes, indeed.
And on that note, we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we'll talk about one thing we didn't like, but also some final thoughts on the show. See you in a bit. Starting a podcast? Try a Podbean Unlimited hosting plan. It's what we use here at Committed Critics, giving us the opportunity to have our show on Pandora, iHeartRadio, and even Spotify. You can get your first month of unlimited hosting for free on us by going to podbean.com/committedcrits, just like our Twitter, or by clicking the link in the description. Podbean, the easiest, most affordable option to get started in podcasting. And welcome back to our review of Invincible Season 1, available to watch on Amazon Prime. # not sponsored, but hey, if you're listening, Mr. Bezos, please throw some money our way. I wouldn't complain.
Even
so
just
Zach,
even just Twitter account of Invincible, retweet us, please.
Please, I love you, Invincible HQ. Your Twitter is amazing.
Yes.
But Zach, so what is one thing you did not like about Invincible Season 1?
Do y'all mind if I read Jordan's real quick, just real fast?
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Because we kind of talked about it before the break. Jordan put in all caps here. Mark is indeed not invincible.
Yes, agreed.
So like he barely won a fight against a villain in season 1, and that was the thing that was like, okay. Like coming into the finale, it was really like, oh, he has to fight his dad now. Yeah, okay, good luck, Buster. Like you're not gonna win that one.
Yeah.
So, and then the other thing Jordan
he didn't.
He did not. No, he got his ass kicked once more. And the other thing Jordan said was the 45-minute time frame, the runtime, isn't needed or is not needed, and it could be more concise.
Agree to disagree.
Agree and disagree on that one. I think
Yeah.
it depends on what the content in that 45 minutes is for me. But so I'll go into my dislike real quick. Omni-Man. Not like I don't like him as a character. I just wish they had built out Mark and Nolan's like close father-son relationship a little bit better. Now, having read the comic book after the finale, the reveal with the Guardians of the Globe doesn't happen until volume 2. So you have a whole volume to kind of build up your imagination with Nolan and try to figure out who he is. Like, oh, is he kind of like Superman? Like, they have a couple different moments, and the show does add some of their own, which is nice. The one I like to think of is when it was Mark's birthday in the comic, and they sit down and just watch a movie together. That was kind of nice. So when volume 2 happens, and it's revealed that Omni-Man is the one that murders the Justice League of this universe, basically, the rug is pulled out, and that betrayal happens. Now, in the show, when you get the reveal of Omni-Man, it's just kind of like, oh, okay. So then you have, like, Kevin, what we talked about a couple of days ago, where it was like the dramatic irony, right? We know something Mark doesn't as the audience. Right. But we haven't had time as the audience to like Nolan. And that's where I lose my interest. Like, oh, I know Nolan's kind of a shitbag. And like, even before we knew he killed all the Guardians, like, he hasn't had any signs of being a good father to Mark. Like, not just training him, having a good time. Like, we never had a Mark and Nolan like, oh, let's go shopping, or they play catch up in the sky. But like,
he took Mark to get his costume.
Even then, he's still like, each scene he's in, he's still gruff and he's still serious.
Yeah, he's not loose.
Type.
Yeah, I agree with Ryan. He's still like, like he's still like, stern. Yeah, and he did take Mark to get his suit, but that still fits into the realm of, oh, he has to have a suit now that he has his powers.
Right, for sure.
And J.K. Simmons is a fantastic like voice actor in this. He does a fantastic job of what he's given. I just think he needed to be directed in a different way, because like Kevin was saying with the animation earlier, where it was kind of weak in some points. Sometimes what J.K. Simmons was saying didn't really reflect in Omni-Man's facial expression, and it kind of left me like, oh, that's kind of awkward.
Yeah. His face is very stiff until the finale.
Yeah, his face is very stiff. I don't know if it was a choice trying to make it seem like he's trying to hide it more. But like there were some like points in like episode 1 where like J.K. Simmons gave off a little bit more of like a happier, not joyful, but like more loose.
He gave off a kind of a Superman vibe. Like, with even that interaction with Darkwing, the kind of Batman in the universe, it kind of gave that kind of Superman Batman relationship. Like, oh, you're welcome.
Right, and it could be more like the facial expression could be like more sarcastic and playful, but it was just more like, you suck, Batman. I'm like, okay, I get it. Like, he thinks he's better than the Justice League. But besides,
he does.
Right, he does. But us as the audience should be like, oh, they should have some kind of repertoire or something. No,
for sure, yeah. Well, yeah, because and as far as like the reveal of like being in episode 1 Stinger 2 that he kills the Justice League, it's kind of a catch-22, I think.
Yeah.
Because Robert Kirkman, he's even said this in an interview where he's like, you know, he's been asked like, so yeah, like the twist doesn't happen until volume 2. Like, are you making the twist happen in episode 2, or are you ending on the pilot? And he's like, yeah, that's something that we talked about a lot in the writer's room. You know, this was building up to the show, so he didn't answer it right away.
Right.
But no, it is like, you know, if he doesn't end it on the ending of the pilot, you know, he's gonna lose a lot of. It's gonna lose a lot of viewers that don't want to, like, you know, it's like, oh, it's just a Justice League knockoff. Like, I'm not gonna watch this show.
But I'll say one thing I did enjoy about the comic though is that they never actually introduced the Guardians of the Globe until the issue they are killed. So you're just like, why are we looking at Discount Justice League? And then they're immediately killed. So you're like, I get why they introduced them, but at the same time, it kind of was nice that they were just these faceless heroes that you were like, oh man, they're like the greatest heroes other than Omni-Man. And all of a sudden you introduce them and you're like, oh man, these guys are basically the Justice League. And then they're killed.
Right. Like, to kind of like my sister's reaction where it's like she's seeing the Justice League, is like, oh, like I want to know more about these characters, and immediately sees them get killed.
And Kevin's like, good luck, kid. Good job.
Welcome to Invincible.
But yeah, that's no, I agree. I agree. It's a catch-22 because like you have that. It's a good hook. It's a good stinger at the end of season 1. Like, holy, like that's crazy. But it does. I think the way you can like have your cake and eat it too, just make Nolan a little more loosey-goosey in the first episode. Like make him a little more Clark Kenty, where he's like, just save the world, no big deal. Mark, you want to go get some like dinner? And like they're having a good time, like at dinner or something. Like just a little more. So when that stinger happens, it's like, oh.
Yeah, so make it feel more like a genuine family moment.
Yeah, and then when that family breaks down,
instead of being like, oh, something's weird with Omni-Man.
right? And when that family dynamic breaks down later, I'll care more about it. Like oh
and
man,
have it throughout the season too, because like you rarely see like you see a few moments like he's like, oh, my ribs, haha, like things like that, like,
right?
But you don't ever see him actually like be friendly with his family. Like you kind of see him like, oh, you want to go to this place, honey? Oh, Mark, you're doing okay out there. Like
it's always revolves around them as sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Ryan, but it always, yeah, you're right. It always revolves around their superhero lives. It's never just like, let's go get Thai food. Let's go just like watch a baseball game or something. Yeah, right. Omni-Man, like when it's revealed later, like he doesn't give a shit about all that. That makes sense. But for the audience, it's just kind of like, okay, well now that they're not doing this, I don't like Omni-Man. So,
for sure.
I digress. Kevin, I spent enough time ranting about it. Kevin, Ryan, your guys' dislikes. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, my dislike is what I said earlier. Like the animation is very choppy at times, but the direction is still there. Like there's still like a sense of like, this is what we want to show. This is how we want to show it. It's not like full, even though there's a lot of gore in the scene, a lot of the gore is from your own imagination. But as it cuts to a reaction shot of something.
Right.
Obviously you still see a lot of intensity and gore and all that stuff, but like the more shocking moments are shocking because of the reaction shots we see. Like with the train scene at the end in the season finale, I absolutely love that scene because it's like, first we see the gore and we're like from Mark's perspective and it's like crazy. Then we cut to outside the train. We hear it going on. And then we cut in and we're close up on Mark's face as he's reacting to everything he's seeing. Then we cut to Omni-Man as he's just stone cold, using his son to kill a train full of people.
Right.
And then he throws Mark down and then that scene's over. But like, dude, that like, it's amazing. The direction is fantastic. And the sound design, as it like overloads you with information, it really makes you feel what the characters feel. So the finale proves that if the show had more money and time, it would greatly increase the quality throughout the series, and I think would help a lot with some of the moments that feel like hard to connect to because of the animation style.
Right.
Then again, the fact that we have an adult animated show that is hour long and not a comedy, this is very impressive.
I agree.
Animation, it gets the short end of the stick a lot. We will talk about in our Infinity Train episode. The creator of Infinity Train, Owen Dennis, just released a thread as the day that we're recording this. It's like, yeah, studios really don't care about animation. Like, they see it as a lower art form and think it's like, especially when it comes to adult animation, they think it's like financial suicide. So the fact that they took a chance on Invincible, like it's not a comedy like Rick and Morty. It has actual traditional animation, unlike Rick and Morty. So animation for this, it's more in depth than The Legend of Korra even. But Legend of Korra had that backing with Nickelodeon. Yeah. So this is like, it costs between $6,000 to $10,000 to make 1 minute of Invincible. So it's just like, just give it more time, give it more money, let them do their thing, and I think this is going to be a really fantastic show. But what about you, Ryan?
All right, so mine is kind of like a little bit broad, but I've talked about it a little bit. The pacing, essentially, some stories are dragged and others are rushed. Yes, that's my Whiplash joke.
Dude, that clip over the Omni-Man ranting is amazing. But sorry, go ahead.
But they try to shift some elements of plot, but it doesn't really work. Like Omni-Man, as we saw in the season finale, he leaves, and he does that in the comic. But the stories they added in to like drag out the whole Omni-Man story does not work as much. For instance, the mission to Mars, Omni-Man is gone, so obviously they need someone to go to Mars because he can't do it. They come up with a very dumb excuse that, we just want Omni-Man, like we originally wanted him to leave so we can investigate him, but I guess he isn't. We'll use Mark.
Right.
Because reasons. And like, it just doesn't, like, things like that doesn't work. And
Well, I
then
think it still works because they want to know if they can trust Mark.
I mean, yeah, but like the problem is like it just seems forced. Like whereas in the show, like in the comic, he is like they have to have Mark. He has to go do this job, and it does affect his normal life. Whereas
Mhm.
in this, it's just Amber's just like, oh yeah, you were gone. Sweet, thanks for the rock. We're so cool. Like
Don't tell anyone who knows about Rock what that is.
and then, and then like other things like the machine head battle, like Omni-Man is there, he's just like chilling and watching everyone get their asses handed to them.
Right, yeah.
Like Mark is literally getting his body beat in. Monster Girl's missing half her face, and he's just standing up there like, this is me like sitting here, and I'm just like, why? And then
Well, because I think he's seeing what Mark is capable of.
but it's like it just doesn't.
Or like he's like
it's-
throwing his son into the fire pit to see if he would survive.
but see,
Right,
like,
but
that's
he was
it.
already
Builds character.
he was already going to do that at some point. Here's the thing:
Yeah.
if Iron Man sweeps in there and saves everyone, that makes his alibi a lot better for not
Yeah,
for
like,
killing.
true.
Yeah.
it's just like it's weird for him to do that. And he immediately comes home and Debbie's like crying and he's like, "Oh man, I was so worried." As we literally just saw him watching him get his ass handed, and Mark's like, "Dad, was that you? Like, why isn't like Iron Man is in action? Why isn't he helping out? Why isn't Cecil contacting him? Hey, the Guardians of the Globe and your son are getting like their asses beat. Come and save them." Like, it just doesn't make sense for him to be there. And which is why I wish they hadn't dragged out the whole Omni-Man plotline. Or if they were going to, then do some other stories that don't really require for him to be there to save the day. And the other characters their stories are getting rushed. Robot / Rudy and Monster Girl story. D.A. Sinclair was there already.
My counterpoint for as Robot and Monster Girl, that plot line needs to be introduced as soon as possible because they're going to need a lot of space.
I mean, yeah, but like at the same time, it's just like I feel like it's so rushed that like they're already like looking at each other like, oh, we're already caring about. And I'm like, the whole thing of it, like, I'm happy they introduced like who Robot was, why he's doing all this stuff. But at the same time, I'm like, it should build up. They shouldn't immediately. Monster Girl shouldn't immediately be like holding his hand as they're watching Omni-Man destroy an entire city. Like that, I don't know. It felt like it was starting to already move that direction. But and then my final gripe, and it's a gripe apparently everyone on Twitter has had, is with Amber, because here's the thing. I liked what they began to do with Amber. When they started off the show, I was like, oh man, she's black, she's culturally diverse, like she has like a background and everything. She's not just this like regular blonde girl that we see in the comic, which I already like. Like she doesn't like take shit from anyone. She actually is like a developed character. But then the problem is one, like in the comic she finds out that Mark is a superhero, but in the comic she takes it way better than the show Amber does, and it helps their relationship grow in a way. In the show she's just like, yeah, I knew you were a superhero, I'm not stupid, which I'm like, I'm fine with that. But then she immediately goes like, yeah, screw you for being a superhero. And I'm like, what the hell? Like, he's saving people. I'm sorry he's not here to meet your parents. Like,
my favorite thing
saving people
is, I think Ryan, you just liked it earlier, is the 9.9 out of 10. Why not just say 10? And it's like me. It's a picture of Amber.
Yeah,
and I'm like, damn.
Like,
I think
that
the show
scene just annoyed me. I was like, the hell?
I think the show is going to call attention to it too. It kind of did a little bit in the finale where it's like Amber and Mark are not very compatible people.
No.
Amber needs that attention and Mark is unable to give that attention. And even when he's not busy being a superhero, he's not able to be there for Amber as much as he should.
Right.
Well, also Mark is just not he's not a great person in general right now. Like he's
He's figuring it out.
He's still figuring it out. But he's still.
You've read the comic, right?
I mean, yeah, but he's way more cocky in this show than he was in the comic in some ways,
which I think works better. Honestly.
I mean, it does work better. But the problem, again, my only problem is they took Amber, who already looked like she was going to be a great character, and just turned her into this like I literally left that episode like, you know what? Screw you. I was like, you know what? I don't know what's gonna happen with you after this season. And then they were like, oh no, she's fine because his dad beat the mess out of him.
I would be interested now that with season 2 if they do like a Team Invincible kind of deal, kind of like what they do in like Flash and Arrow.
Yeah.
Oh god, is she gonna be Felicity?
Well, not to that extent, but like, you know, just kind of like, oh yeah, like, no, this is like Mark's friends.
Oh, I was only doing that to trigger Zach. It would trigger Jordan more, but I wanted to at least trigger Zach.
I've accepted my fate. No, yeah, I think it'd be cool where it's like what you're saying, Kevin, where it's the Team Invincible, where it's the 4 of them. That'd be cool.
For sure. But yeah, we'll see how season 2 develops. But so this has been our talk about Invincible. Do we have any final thoughts that we want to talk about?
I'm kind of all out. I just want to say Jordan just said it's good, but it could be better. She's hooked now after season 1, but season 2 needs to impress her. It has the Walking Dead TV show vibes where there's a little bit of filler when it just needs to get to the next story beat and move on. Yeah, I know, Kevin, it's not filler right now because of what they're setting up. I'm not trying to be.
So
go ahead.
no, it'll like, you'll see it's not filler.
Right.
It's one of those shows like, and it's proved already with the finale where it's like once the show develops more, you realize how much it was setting it up. So it adds to the rewatchability.
Okay. Yeah, I know. I'm not trying to be ultra negative on the endpoint.
For sure.
I'm just trying to be like critical because like the show has potential to be one of the best superhero stories in the media right now. I want it to succeed. I want to love it and parade around, be like, yes, go watch Invincible. But right now, I'm just kind of like, watch it if you're interested. Like, I would not like go to like my mom, for example, because like she and I love superheroes together. I'd be like, hey, watch Invincible. I'd be like, let's wait, see where it goes.
We're only in season 1 so far.
Right, exactly. So. We're only in season 1. I'm super excited to see season 2 and the future of it. I just hope, like I said, it hits me harder than season 1 did.
Oh, it will.
Yeah.
It will.
I'll give it that. It does the comic does get better, but they've already done a good chunk of the future issues of the comic.
I want to try and finish the comic before season 2 comes out.
Well, I think we got time. I think it might actually be a year until season 2 premieres, unfortunately.
Ooh. Yeah. My final point I want to make is that I think I am being a little overcritical on some points, but my whole thing was, as I wrote down, maybe it's because Invincible is the first comic that I loved from like start to end, whereas DC is like all over the place half the time. Maybe it's because I was happy people were excited about an animated superhero show and kind of treating it on the same level as, you know, the MCU or like DC, like because one, it was airing the same week as Falcon and the Winter Soldier,
right?
So people were kind of, as me and Zach were doing, watching it back to back. And two, because no one will acknowledge My Hero Academia because it's anime, even though it's a great show.
I don't know. My Hero Academia is the biggest anime in America still. Well,
I know,
besides
but
Demon
like,
Slayer.
I still don't hear enough people talking about it, and it makes me
You don't
sad.
follow the right people on Twitter, dude.
I follow some people. They're talking about it, but like I need to hear more regular, just other people who are talking about it. But
right.
Overall, I'm excited to see where it goes. I just need them to fix the pacing issue because I'm just like, I don't know. Like I feel like they're gonna finish this in like 3-4 seasons at this rate.
No, because I thought it was gonna be 3 seasons, and we got to the end of episode 3. I'm like, 5 seasons?
5?
I know Kirkman has stated that there's going to be, he wants 7 seasons, but they can make it work in 5. They are definitely. He also hinted at an interview after the finale that there's going to be some plot lines that he wasn't able to do in the comic that he's going to try to apply to the show. Oh. One of them being revisiting Damien Darkblood, where Mark has to go to hell to help him solve a mystery.
Okay, so the filler. We're gonna go anime.
We might get some filler, but hopefully it's good filler.
If that's the case, I want
actual filler.
If that's the case, I want Wolfman. That's all I want then. If we're gonna be going to this realm, I want Wolfman because we
might get Wolfman because he was saying that the show is going to be representing the entirety of the Invincible universe, so some tie-in stuff might come into the cracks.
I liked it. It was a good 25 issue series.
Based off with that interview I sent you, Kevin, with Kind of Funny, like. Kirkman also said he's willing for this to go as long as it wants, like as long as the demand is there for it.
Right. So. Yeah. I mean, of course. I mean, there's still so many stories he can do with Invincible.
Yeah.
And and then like something cool would be like if we see Invincible post after the comic ended.
Yeah.
So I can't give spoilers for that right now. I'm just saying there could be more, but it does have a satisfying ending.
Mark
but yeah,
has to deal
so
with tax
my
evasion.
final thought. What'd you say?
Mark has to deal with tax evasion.
Jury duty.
Yeah. The IRS has come for him.
Mark is like, I've been gone for 3 months. How am I being wanted for taxes? But yeah, my final thoughts is Invincible is a show that could have either been a 1-season flop with a cult following or an extremely successful in the mainstream. And thankfully, it is the latter. I love the fact that everyone else is loving the show. I think this perfect, now that the MCU has finished their big story and the DC Extended Universe has their proper Justice League film, the timing for Invincible couldn't have been better now that mainstream audiences are now know the tropes of superhero stories and then and allow Invincible to subvert them for powerful storytelling. So like this was like, perfect timing for Invincible, and I'm glad it's succeeding.
No, I agree. Yeah.
Yep. So and that,
I was gonna say last point. I need more Mauler twins.
Jesus.
no, yeah, they might come back. You never know. So this has been Committed Critics. You can follow us on Twitter at Committed Crits, that's COMMITTEDCRITS. You can follow us on YouTube at Committed Critics, spelled the same there as it is here and everywhere else. You can support us on Patreon, linked in the description. Just $1 or $2 a month can greatly help the show. Special thanks to our current patron, David Peppers from Game Mechanics. Go ahead and check out his YouTube channel. But special thanks to our sound engineer, Jordan Smearman, and we will see you in the next episode. Bye-bye.